With more nostalgia than a high school reunion, Ready Player One hits the big screen. Does it soar or sink? Find out now and drawing conclusions. Jeez. This movie is based on the popular novel by Ernest Cline, and the script is co-written by him and Zach Penn, and of course, directed by Steven Spielberg. Ready Player One takes place in a future where there is widespread poverty and hunger. The environment has gone to crap, and everywhere people spend as much time as possible escaping reality within the virtual reality universe called the Oasis.
So this movie I thought was pretty entertaining. I thought the script was really well done. There are a lot of changes from the book, but the elements are there. The basic story is there. The pop culture references that Ernest Cline loves to sprinkle throughout the entire novel. It's really the basis of the story.
Right.
Those are there. I thought they did a good job with the script, keeping it from getting bogged down in exposition.
Right. It doesn't stray. It stays pretty focused, and it just doesn't meander.
Right. It flowed really nicely. It had a nice pace, a nice natural story arc.
Yeah. Nothing felt crammed in or forced, and it certainly, as I said before, it didn't meander or take tangents.
Right. And as they built the story, you got enough information to understand what's at stake for the characters and for the world that they live in.
Right, both the real world and within the virtual reality Oasis world.
Right.
The acting was good. For the most part, I had very little, if any, complaints, honestly. And it had a lot of young stars who were mostly ones I had never seen anything else before, so it was kind of refreshing.
Yeah. I thought that the performances were pretty good. And like you said, I thought Ty Sheridan and Olivia Cooke as the two main leads were good. And Ben Mendelsohn is the villain of the story.
Yeah, he does a really good job.
And Mark Rylance actually was really good as the eccentric billionaire James Halliday that, leaves all this money to whoever can solve this quest that he has built into this virtual reality world of the Oasis. He did a good job. He shows up a lot throughout the movie.
Right.
And that was nice. But the one performance that really didn't work for me was the character of Finale. She's like this enforcer for the evil IOI Corporation, played by Hannah John Kamen. I just didn't buy her performance as, she's supposed to be like this tough, baddie kind of person. And there were so many times when I was watching her scenes where she just wasn't believable. I just felt like she was acting.
She definitely felt like, using the adventure theme throughout this show. From the adventure video game from the Atari 2600. She was definitely like the green dragon, just kind of there to do stuff, not really menacing. I didn't feel threatened by her very much. Just kind of like, whereas Ben Mendelsohn's character was definitely the red dragon, very driven and staying on task and just after it the whole time. This was not.
What was interesting about his character, though, was the combination of him being being threatening and menacing, but also being a bit of a buffoon.
Right. That was an interesting contrast within the same character.
Yeah.
Threatening buffoon.
I mean, you were scared of him, and you could tell that people would be scared of him, but he was also kind of a
doof.
Yeah.
It was interesting. As for the visual effects, I thought they were really cool personally. I liked just the references all over the place within the Oasis to pop culture, to games, popular music. Really fun. And not too seizure-inducing. I think that's a big hit for any moviegoer, that you can actually watch the action and actually follow it and not just get bogged down in just information overload.
Right. Where there's so much going on, or the camera angles are so
shifting
crazy and stuff that you can't really follow the action. No, these were well filmed.
Yeah.
The only thing really about the visuals that bothered me were the avatars of the two main characters. So what they look like when they're in the Oasis. They were too cartoony for me, and I really didn't like how they went a different direction than how their avatars are described in the novel. I don't understand that choice, really, and I felt it was kind of strange. And I felt like it kind of worked against the character of Artemis and what she was about, actually, how they made her avatar look in the movie. It's a smallish complaint. I mean, really, it's one of my two complaints about the movie, because it was that, and then really the a couple of weak performances. But by small smaller characters
Yeah.
in the movie, so it didn't have a huge impact. And you were talking about all the pop culture references in the movie, and that was pretty fun. It was fun to look for those. I know that there were a lot that went over my head because I'm not a big video game person. We did have an Atari when I was a kid and a ColecoVision, and there were a few games. There were a few games that I played on each, but I'm not the big video game aficionado like you are. Like some of the video games that are at the heart of the story and stuff are things that I'm not familiar with.
Right.
So.
I love looking for all the pop culture references, and that was a lot of fun to me. I mean, from just taking from the poster them working on from Iron Giant, Gundam, Bigfoot, the Atari 2600 itself, and the game Adventure, Chun-Li, Akira, Back to the Future. I mean, it's just did I say King Kong already? I can't remember. I mean, there's just so much stuff going on. Just references galore. Of course, one of my favorite films of all time, Alien, is referenced in there in this pretty kind of a funny way.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's just,
That's right.
Stuff is everywhere. And it's like, I definitely have to see this more than once to really just try and, even just to try and write everything down that I see that's in this movie.
Are you really going to write everything down that you see in this movie?
I might do it. That can actually be kind of fun. It's a good enough movie to watch it again anyway, but that just adds another layer of fun to the film for me.
Yeah, so for people that aren't like big into the 80s or raised in that era or whatever,
yeah.
or whose parents have neglected them by not showing them movies like Back to the Future and stuff like
CPS.
that.
You were robbed.
Then maybe it's still a fun movie. You don't have to get all of that to enjoy the film.
Yeah.
As far as like the themes of the movie, I really like where this movie landed in terms of dealing with this idea of people spending so much time in a virtual reality world.
Right.
In the past, in science fiction movies, when they have explored this idea where we would live in some kind of virtual reality, or that's how people would spend a lot of their time, it's always been shown as like an extremely negative thing.
Yeah.
And here they explore both the dangers of living in that kind of world where virtual reality is so real and where people spend so much time on it. Or in it, but also like there's a balance of like, but it's not all bad, and there's a place for that kind of escapism. There's a place for that kind of escapist entertainment, but it's about finding the right balance and not ever losing touch with the truth that the virtual reality is not reality, and that we need to spend time in the real world too.
Yeah.
So I thought that, I liked that. I liked where they ended up with that in the movie. Overall, I felt like it was a really enjoyable, fun film, had a lot of fun elements, and like you, I'd like to see it again to try to pick up some more of the references.
Yeah.
Overall, what score would you give this movie, Josh?
Well, since we're celebrating Easter, I will give this 4 out of 5 Easter eggs. Stick with the Easter theme and the video game theme.
So thanks so much for joining us for this edition of Drawing Conclusions. Please like our video, leave a little comment. Please share this with your friends, and of course, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks.